want you to fire the fat people.
What?
They're lazy and they're slow and they make me sad to look at.
74 sexual positions and not a single fatty. It's impressive.
So you can either be fat and jolly or a skinny bitch. It's up to you.
Unless I'm fat, then burn me.
She got real fat on me, so I was like, ew, bye.
Hi, I'm Ross's little sister.
Okay.
It's rare to see fat bodies positively portrayed in the media. I think fat is conceived as monstrous because we're taught these things from a very early age. Monsters and ogres and people who threaten you and people that you should be afraid of.
Fat is a clown and not human.
Now that was a clip from the documentary Fattitude. Joining me on Google Hangout are creators Lindsay and Viridiana, and joining me in studio is our Women 24 content producer Carmen, who wrote a very interesting article about fat shaming. So first I'd like to welcome both you ladies on Google Hangout. Thank you for joining me all the way from the States.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
And Carmen, thank you for sitting down with me in the studio.
Thank you for having me as well.
All right, Lindsay, I want to start with you. Why don't you tell me what Fattitude is all about?
Well, Fattitude is about sort of bringing to people's attention the reality of fat discrimination, and the way that we have chosen to do that is to show you how blatantly fat discrimination is present in popular culture and popular media. So we're taking a really strong look at different popular culture venues, meaning how the news treats the fat body, how film and television treats the fat body and relates to the fat body. And, you know, we're pointing out that the fat body is regularly a joke. It's regularly a villain. It's regularly deemed as lazy, shameful, or, you know, flat out in a state of death, meaning headed towards horrible health and incapable of functioning in the normal world.
All right, and Viridiana, I'm going to pass it on to you. Why did the two of you decide to get together and shine light on this topic now?
We were both in graduate school together, and we were both looking at popular culture. Me, at the time, I was looking at gender and sport, and at the time, Lindsay was always looking at these representations. And me being a filmmaker, we just started talking. Well, we've talked for years about making a project together, but we could never get together to make that happen. And all of a sudden, as Lindsay was working on her dissertation, we started looking around and saying, this needs to be made. This is a film that hasn't been made, especially not for a mass audience. And one of the most accessible manners to discuss these types of conversations is pop culture, because everybody knows pop culture and connects to pop culture. And it's one of the largest exports, everything, you name it, across this planet. So I was pretty excited to bring my film skills into it, but we both, being grounded in women's studies and various other cultural studies, it seemed like a perfect venue to team up.
All right, well, when I first heard about the film and saw the trailer, I showed it to Carmen. Carmen, what did you take away from the trailer when you watched it?
Well, firstly, I really loved the trailer because it seemed as if it wasn't just a discussion between 2 or 3 people. There was various sources, various women of all shapes and sizes and colors, all saying, you know, basically the same thing, but all agreeing, but having different points of view on it, which is fantastic. That's how you get a conversation started. Mm-hmm. And also, I do agree that pop culture and the way the media views fat women or fat people in general it's rather shocking, because women of, you know, once you're past a certain size, regarded as you're not the same. There's definitely a stigma attached, and there's something wrong. And I don't think that our media should say that to us. Why should I be treated differently just because I don't fit into the same size dress as you do? Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean that I'm not intelligent, or that I don't have feelings, or that I don't have an opinion about what's happening in Nigeria. I'm still the same person. Mm-hmm. It's just that my body looks different.
Now, Lindsay, I'm going to pass it back over to you. Are these things that Carmen is talking about, the themes that she grabbed from that trailer, are these things that you've experienced and that you've noticed people to experience while working on the film?
I think absolutely, right? So this is exactly what we're talking about. And I really like the fact that Carmen brought up that we're really trying to engage with a variety of different voices, right? And to think, you know, across sort of class lines, as well as gender lines. Unfortunately, our trailer right now doesn't represent the reality that we'll be talking about male fat bodies as well as female fat bodies. We just didn't have the access to have that conversation in the trailer, but the full feature film will definitely have that conversation. And the reality is, if you're living in a fat body, you are less valued than someone who is not living in a fat body. You know, there's all kinds of statistical studies done on the fact that people in a fat body make less money, people in a fat body are less likely to be promoted, people in a fat body have a much harder time buying fashionable clothes, they're more expensive, so not only is your body perceived as less appealing, but you can't even get clothes to try to make it more appealing, right? Also, you know, one of the issues that we deal with when we're talking about health is the reality that fat people receive subpar health care because 1 in 3 medical professionals has a fat prejudice that they carry with them. So rather than looking at how the fat person is sick, they just assume that because this person is overweight, that is the problem, and then the actual problem goes untreated, right? We're talking about systemic oppression, right? We're not talking about, oh, I feel really sad because people don't think I'm pretty, right? We're talking about systemic, legitimate prejudice that really creates subpar lives. And that's not okay. Something we have to change.